Have you ever wondered why some people get rich with Bitcoin while others lose everything? It's not luck. It's strategy, emotional control, and knowing the right timing to act, or simply to wait. If you've already entered the market, sold during a dip, bought at the top, or froze in panic during a crash, this video is for you. Because there's one silent mistake that might be sabotaging your chance to get rich with Bitcoin by 2035, and you're probably making it right now without even realizing it. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what this mistake is, why it silently destroys your portfolio, and how to avoid it with a simple but powerful plan. If you want to stop acting on impulse and start investing with clarity, consistency, and intelligence, watch this video until the end. This might be the turning point that separates those who just buy Bitcoin from those who truly build wealth with it. Subscribe to the channel right now so you don't miss the next videos. Let's get straight to the point. You know that guy who bought Bitcoin at $60,000 because he saw a news segment calling it the currency of the future? And then sold in desperation when it dropped to $30,000?
Yeah.
He didn't lose money because of Bitcoin. He lost because he didn't understand the game. This story has repeated for over a decade. People jumping in during the hype, selling during panic, and blaming the asset, the market, politics, anything, except their own lack of preparation. The biggest enemy of the investor isn't volatility. It's the lack of patience. It's anxiety. It's the need to see quick results. If you've been through this, or you're afraid of repeating the cycle, stick with me till the end, because the mindset shift you need is right here. Now stop and think with me. How many times have you looked at the chart thinking it was the right moment to get in, and the next day the price crashes? Or worse, you sell, the price shoots up, and regret hits you like a truck. That happens because most investors believe they need to predict the market. But that's a dangerous illusion. No one, absolutely no one, consistently times the tops and bottoms. Trying to do so just traps you in a cycle of frustration and losses. And here's the core message. It's not about catching the perfect timing. It's about having a plan, sticking to that plan with discipline, and holding strong emotionally in the hardest moments. Drop a comment below if you've experienced this, and hit the like button if it already made you rethink your investing decisions. Here's the hard but freeing truth. The average investor loses money not because of lack of information, but because of excess emotion. FOMO, the fear of missing out, makes you buy when everyone is euphoric. FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, makes you sell when the market crashes. And this cycle repeats with almost mathematical precision. It's like the market tests who deserves to get rich, and who will be kicked out too soon. And the craziest part? These mistakes are invisible while you're in them. Only after the damage is done do you realize how impulsive you were. So if this content is opening your eyes, prove you're different. Subscribe to the channel now, because here the message is direct. No illusions, no fake promises. Now pay close attention. The deadliest mistake of all, the one that silently stops you from building real wealth, is trying to time the market without experience. Jumping in and out all the time. Buying because you saw a headline, selling because you got scared. That's not investing. That's gambling. And the market loves gamblers, because they always lose in the long run. Want a real example? An investor who bought $1,000 worth of Bitcoin in 2015 and simply held until 2025, without doing anything, turned that into tens of thousands of dollars. Another one who tried to sell at the top and buy back later lost most of the gains and lived in constant stress. One got rich in silence. The other lived in chaos. Let's move on to the proof. Real simulations with numbers and dates. First scenario. An investor who buys $100 every month since 2015 and never sells. Result in 2025. More than 10 times the invested amount, even with all the crashes. Second scenario. The guy who sold in 2018 during panic, bought again at the top in 2021, and sold again in 2022 out of fear. Result, almost no profit and lots of frustration. Third scenario, the emotional trader, jumping in and out based on videos and headlines. The result, losses. And this is the most powerful message in this video. It's not the smartest who wins. It's the most patient. The Bitcoin game is about resilience, not cleverness. If you're enjoying this clarity, send this video to a friend who always says, "I lost money with crypto." And of course, if you haven't hit like yet, now's the time. You need to understand this. Bitcoin is not an ordinary asset. It's an anti-fragile system that rewards those who understand timing. Every 4 years, the halving happens, the event that cuts the issuance of new bitcoins in half. This creates programmed scarcity and historically leads to price surges. The big players already know this. They accumulate during bear markets. Meanwhile, the emotional investor is selling in panic. Which side do you want to be on? The one that panics or the one that accumulates in silence? Drop a comment below. What's your biggest challenge when investing in Bitcoin today? And if you want to learn how to invest with awareness, consistency, and calm, subscribe now to the channel. Because what's coming in the next videos will prepare you to build real wealth by 2035. Now that you understand the mistake and the emotional risks, let's get to the most important part: how to avoid all of this. The answer is simple, yet powerful. It's called DCA, or dollar cost averaging. In other words, invest a fixed amount every month, regardless of the price. This strategy removes the emotional factor from the equation. You don't try to predict the market. You participate in it intelligently. And more, it creates the habit of consistency, which is the real engine behind wealth building. Want a step-by-step? First, decide how much you can invest monthly without compromising your well-being. Second, choose a fixed day of the month. Third, automate the process with a reliable brokerage. And most importantly, don't touch that money. It's not for now. It's for your future freedom. Liked this tip? Then hit the like button now and share this video with someone who needs to hear this. The value of Bitcoin is not defined by governments, banks, or financial institutions. It is determined by the collective trust of the market in its utility, scarcity, and security. Unlike fiat currency, which can be printed infinitely, Bitcoin is limited to just 21 million units. This programmed scarcity, combined with growing global interest, contributes to its appreciation. Furthermore, decentralization and censorship resistance make the asset even more attractive. The perception of Bitcoin's value is similar to that of gold. It doesn't generate income, but it's sought as a store of value, especially in times of economic crisis. Every 4 years, Bitcoin goes through a phenomenon called halving. This event cuts in half the reward given to miners for validating blocks. This means that, over time, new Bitcoins enter circulation more slowly. Halving has a direct impact on the currency supply, and historically, it precedes major price cycles. When supply drops and demand stays high, or increases, the price tends to rise. This automatic mechanism was created by Satoshi Nakamoto as a way to control inflation and ensure the longevity of the digital currency. Bitcoin's security lies in mathematics. The technology behind it uses advanced cryptography to protect transactions and balances. When you send Bitcoin, the network uses cryptographic keys to authenticate and validate each move. The blockchain, in turn, records these transactions in a public and immutable way. Hacking Bitcoin would require computing power greater than that of most supercomputers on the planet, simultaneously. In addition, since there is no central point of failure, the system remains operational even if parts of it are attacked. Bitcoin is now one of the most secure networks in the world. Entering the world of Bitcoin is easier than it seems. You can start with any amount, even fractions. The first step is to choose a trusted exchange, create your account, verify your identity, and transfer fiat money to start investing. After the purchase, the ideal is to store your Bitcoins in a digital wallet, which can be an app, a physical device, hardware wallet, or even a printed paper with private keys. Understanding how to custody your own Bitcoins is a key part of the financial sovereignty this currency proposes. The emergence of Bitcoin triggered diverse reactions from governments. Some see it as a threat to financial and regulatory control, others as an opportunity for innovation and economic independence. Countries like El Salvador have already adopted Bitcoin as legal tender, while others impose severe restrictions. The debate revolves around monetary sovereignty and individual freedom. The technology that enables Bitcoin escapes traditional models, and its impact could reshape the way nations deal with finance, taxes, and regulations. While Bitcoin was the pioneer, thousands of other cryptocurrencies, called altcoins, emerged trying to solve different problems. Ethereum, for example, introduced smart contracts. Others focus on privacy, scalability, or speed. However, Bitcoin remains the leading digital asset due to its security, decentralization, and global adoption. The main difference lies in the purpose. While many altcoins function as platforms or utilities, Bitcoin is seen as a digital store of value, Gold 2.0. It doesn't compete with the others, but rather sets the standard upon which the rest of the crypto market is built. Over time, Bitcoin ceased to be just a technological experiment and began to be recognized as a store of value. Institutional investors, companies, and even governments are placing parts of their wealth into Bitcoin as protection against inflation, crises, and currency devaluation. Unlike traditional money, which can lose value due to expansive monetary policies, Bitcoin has a fixed and predictable supply. This makes it an especially attractive asset in times of economic uncertainty, acting as a digital safe haven for those looking to preserve their purchasing power. Investing in Bitcoin isn't just about technique, it's about mindset. The market is highly volatile and demands emotional control. Many beginner investors panic sell during drops or buy at the top out of fear of missing out. Understanding market cycles, the impact of emotions, and the importance of a long-term vision is crucial. The psychology of a crypto investor is different from that of the traditional market. You must resist FOMO, fear of missing out, and cultivate patience, conviction, and discipline to reap good results. Bitcoin represents much more than profit. It symbolizes freedom. Freedom to move your money without asking for permission. Freedom to store wealth outside of banks or governments. Freedom to transact with anyone, anywhere in the world, with minimal fees and no intermediaries. In regions with financial censorship or hyperinflation, Bitcoin has proven to be a survival tool. Instead of depending on third parties to protect your wealth, with Bitcoin, the individual takes full control over their finances. Despite its strength, Bitcoin faces challenges, especially in terms of scalability. The network can only process about 7 transactions per second, a low number compared to systems like Visa. Solutions like the Lightning Network are being developed to solve this, enabling faster and cheaper transactions. These innovations are crucial for Bitcoin to be viable as an everyday means of payment. The global community continues to seek ways to improve the system without compromising the security and decentralization that are its greatest virtues. The rise of Bitcoin is putting pressure on banks, governments, and financial institutions to reinvent themselves. Central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, more flexible regulations, and new business models are emerging. The traditional system, used to intermediating everything, now faces a technology that eliminates middlemen. The impact is profound. Banking fees, state control over money, and inflationary practices are being questioned. Bitcoin is an invitation to decentralize the economy, and a warning to those who insist on maintaining the old structures of power. Michael Carter is 33 years old and lives in Austin, Texas. A systems analyst by training, he was never the impulsive type. On the contrary, he's always been rational with his money, careful with spending, and skeptical of fads. In 2017, when Bitcoin started making headlines, he thought it was just another bubble. He completely ignored it. But at the end of 2020, something changed. During the pandemic, while many were losing jobs or suffering from inflation, Michael realized a harsh truth: money was melting in value. That's when he started studying Bitcoin. He didn't buy on impulse. He spent 6 months reading books, listening to podcasts, following serious analysts, and building an entry plan. He didn't want to just bet. He wanted to invest with strategy, thinking long-term. If this story is inspiring you, hit the like button now and subscribe to the channel, because we'll keep bringing real and transformative content to your financial journey. Michael realized the secret wasn't trying to hit the top or bottom of the market. It was consistency. So he built a simple plan. Every month, regardless of the price, he would buy $250 worth of Bitcoin. Nothing more than he could afford to lose. No rush. No hype. Just following the strategy known as DCA, dollar cost averaging. In 2021, when the market started crashing, he didn't panic. On the contrary, he saw opportunity. While many were selling in despair, he was buying. Quietly. Without telling anyone. Because he knew the reward would come for those with conviction, not euphoria. And if you believe in that too, drop a comment below. Consistency wins. To show that you're part of this movement of conscious investors. Today, in 2025, Michael already has 4 years of accumulation. With a little over $12,000 invested over time, his portfolio has already surpassed $26,000, and he's not even thinking about selling. Because his target is 2029. He believes that by then, Bitcoin will have surpassed the $250,000 mark, and he will have accumulated, through continuous contributions and appreciation, more than $150,000. But it's not just about the money. Michael talks about sovereignty, about freedom, about not depending on banks, about protecting his future in a world that is becoming increasingly